You say Donald Trump, if he is reelected, it will be the end of the republic. What do you mean?
He's told us what he will do. It's very easy to see the steps that he will take. People who say, well, if he's elected, it's not that dangerous because we have all of these checks and balances, don't fully understand the extent to which the Republicans in Congress today have been co-opted. One of the things that we see happening today is a sort of a sleepwalking into dictatorship in the United States.
They're in an absolute panic, gang. They see the writing on the wall, and you can be assured the likes of Liz Cheney don't give a rip about our republic. They only care about themselves and their own fledgling power. They don't care about you. I mean, Liz Cheney certainly didn't give a rip about you and your concerns and your values and your interests when she was part of that sham J6 kangaroo committee, and she sure as hell doesn't care about you now. This is all about her. Make no mistake, it's all about the ruling establishment and their very real fears that a second Trump term is going to be their final end. You're going to absolutely love this. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve. As you can see, I'm coming to you no longer from Philly, but from the beautiful southern Florida. I have some meetings here I'm attending, but as you can see, it's absolutely lovely place to meet, and it's perfect timing up where I am in the greater Philly area. It's gotten so cold and gray and wet, and so this is a slice of paradise for sure. If only Florida would get their governor back and have him stop playing wannabe president, but alas. We do have an amazing development going on among our ruling elite, as you saw so feebly represented by Liz Cheney, who of course lost her primary election last summer in a humiliating defeat by 40 points. But as you can see, she remains the darling of the liberal media precisely because she is anti-Trump. That's the only qualification you need to be the darling of the legacy media. That's why they love losers like Mitt Romney so much. They love Republican losers. For the legacy media, Republican losers are the model Republican. But what we're seeing more and more in the legacy media and among the unit-party establishment in general is an open panic that a Trump second term is almost inevitable at this point, and that second term is going to be nothing less, in their terms, a full-blown dictatorship. Now, as you can see, the Washington Post is hardly subtle about this, and they're hardly alone. Just like in 2016, we're seeing the legacy media and the ruling unit-party establishment come together and try to convince their dwindling audience that Trump is the single greatest threat to our democracy that we have ever faced. Remember, that is precisely what Liz Cheney tried to convince her fellow Wyoming voters when she rolled out the bones of her warmongering father, Dick Cheney. Do you remember this?
In our nation's 246-year history, there has never been an individual who is a greater threat to our republic than Donald Trump. He tried to steal the last election using lies and violence to keep himself in power after the voters had rejected him. He is a coward. A real man wouldn't lie to his supporters. He lost his election, and he lost big. I know it, he knows it, and deep down, I think most Republicans know it. Lynn and I are so proud of Liz for standing up for the truth, doing what's right, honoring her oath to the Constitution, when so many in our party are too scared to do so.
I'll be back.
That's right, gang. He's back. It is time to show our support and celebrate the great return by clicking on that link below and getting your very own Trumpinator 2024 bobblehead in preparation for Donald Trump's glorious reascendance to the United States presidency. This collectible bobblehead from Proud Patriots is made with the highest quality material and really is a must-have for any Trump fan who wants to send some energy towards what's shaping up to be the single most glorious political comeback ever. Now, don't wait. There's just a limited number of these collectibles. You don't want to be caught paying way more later on eBay from someone who bought one right now. So whatever you do, don't wait. Click on that link below and show your support for Trump 2024 today. Donald Trump is the single greatest threat to our republic ever. Ever. Yeah, I mean, you actually heard that with your own ears. And keep in mind, gang, that wasn't Nancy Pelosi. That wasn't AOC. That wasn't Chuck Schumer or any other Democrat. That was a Republican, a supposed Republican. a one-time Republican. That was a warmongering neocon who was watching his power and his legacy implode. Trump is the single greatest threat to our nation. Note again, not indicting your political opponents. No, that's fine. Not kangaroo courts. No, that's fine. Not burning down cities across the nation to the tune of $2 billion worth of damage. No, that's fine. No, single greatest threat, Donald Trump. Trump is the single greatest threat to our republic. Now, what we're seeing here, I would argue, is an admission, or better, it's a twofold admission on the part of our establishment. The establishment, in fearing a Trump dictatorship, they're admitting that first and foremost, Trump is winning, and if things continue on this trajectory, he's going to win in an epic blowout. But secondly, and this is key, they're admitting that they have indeed redefined democracy. What we have to understand is that the ruling establishment's idea of a democratic republic is fundamentally different from our understanding of a democratic republic, right? We have two fundamentally different conceptions of democracy operative here. And scholars have actually talked about these two very different conceptions. Scholars make a distinction between what they call pragmatic democracy and what they call redemptive democracy. Again, this is absolutely key because scholars who are up on this, who are looking at the nature of the populist revolts that are going on all over the world, of which Trump and the MAGA movement is simply one example, these scholars recognize that far from wanting to impose an authoritarian dictatorship, these populist movements want to restore democratic politics, but a democratic politics that clashes with the democratic notions of the permanent political class. So pragmatic democracy is precisely the kind of so-called democracy that's operative within the permanent political class. It's the way the ruling class, the establishment, the cartel, the uniparties here in the States and Europe govern in accordance with their own values, interests, and concerns that are growing increasingly alienated from the values, interests, and concerns of the people, their own supposed constituents. And so what scholars have noticed is that in response to this aloof aristocracy, this elite dismissiveness, like we see with the Cheneys, more and more populations are rising up and demanding what scholars call redemptive democracy, which insists that their representatives govern in accordance with the values, interests, and concerns of the people. I mean, this is the whole notion of democracy that's animating and inspiring patriot movements, not just here in the United States, but throughout Europe as well. When all is said and done, our ruling elite is scared to death, not of a dictatorship, but of a restorative democracy. They're scared to death that the values, interests, concerns of we, the people, will finally be faithfully represented. That, to them, is a dictatorship. And if that's a dictatorship, then I think we can all agree, sign us up.
Gang, as many of you know, we have unfortunately been completely and totally demonetized, which is putting our daily communication with one another at risk like never before. Now, we are actively working on getting this resolved, but as things stand, this channel has, without any warning, been totally and completely demonetized. And as Elon Musk said so powerfully last week, the whole point of these demonetization efforts is to deliberately try to make us patriots feel like we're all alone. They want to sever our relationship with each other and force on us a kind of digital solitary confinement so as to demoralize us and discourage us like never before. But to their horror, it's not working. Over this past week, you have carried this channel like never before. We've had more people than ever make the courageous decision to bypass big tech and join our Insiders Club. We have direct access to one another that can never be interrupted by big tech overlords. Over the last 7 days, we've seen literally thousands of you come to our rescue. And you've done it in two ways. You've signed up for our free newsletter and you've officially joined our Insiders Club. Those two acts alone are enough for us to collectively stand together and never, ever have our relationship severed. So I'm inviting the rest of you to do the same today, just by clicking on that link below and signing up for our newsletter and joining our Insiders Club, you are guaranteeing that there is nothing that big tech can do to get between us and make us feel like we're in a digital solitary confinement. It's as simple as clicking on the link below right now and opting into our free email newsletter. And once you do that, you can financially support us by joining our Insiders Club. Gang, from the bottom of my heart, I cannot thank you enough for your support during a time like this. You are my heroes, and it will be my mission to express my appreciation for every single one of you each and every week.